Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today's lesson is on the praying mantis. To start off the praying mantis, what we want to do is we want to make his head, and we're going to make his head in the top right hand corner. So the head of the praying mantis is what we're making now. I want it to be pretty big. I want it to be as big as my fist here. But I don't want it to be really close to the edge where it goes off my page. And of course I don't want it to be touching the top either because I need to have some room for those antennas. So I'm going to jump over, take your fist, jump over a little bit, and that's over about probably 3 fingers from the edge. And then at least 3 fingers from the top. So when you measure with your fist, 3 fingers from the top, 3 fingers from the side. I might have to scooch mine over a little bit. This is the approximate size I'm going to make my head right here. So I'm going to make a mark here as a guide, and then I'm going to remove my fist. Now I want to come down from this guideline about 4 fingers and put a dot. Now from here, what I want to do is create this triangular face. Let me show you my example. It has a slightly curved top. It's a triangle, but it's rounded on its curves. The edges are a little bit rounded and softer, and so is the bottom here. So to create this, I'm just going to simply come over with a line, and then I'm going to make a slight curve here at the bottom. Now I'm going to drop down from this line, and I want to put some of those compound eyes in right here. And we're looking almost side view at this compound eye. So I'm going to drop down from this edge here, and I'm going to make an oval. And this is a good size oval. If you take your little pinky finger, it's almost as big as your pinky finger. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm going to very carefully do an imaginary line across. I'm going to mark it so I know where to put my oval. I want them to be the same length. So imaginary line across, mark it. And now I'm going to do an oval here. Now, if yours is not the same size, it's okay, because when we decorate this, we can always make it a little bit bigger if you need to, or you can add another line around this, so you can adapt and change your art to make it look like they're the same, putting in, an extra layer of circles in, or what you need to do. But what we're going to do is we're going to do another oval inside, and this is going to be like the pupil of the eye, a small oval here. Because when you make the eyes, the 2 eyes, sometimes it's not the same size. Actually, oftentimes it's not the same size. So artists always adapt their mistakes. Just like when I didn't make these 2 the same, the pupils, I'm just going to make this one a little bit bigger then. Now what I want to do is just connect all of this. And I'm going to come around slowly when you do this. Round around here, so it's a rounded triangle corner. And then I'm going to come down slowly. And I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to round around here and come right down slowly. Now we need to get the mouth parts. And he has these they're called chewing mouth parts. So they're almost looking like fangs. So on each side, I'm going to come out. So I'm going to come down, out a bit and down, out a bit and down. Now they're slightly hooked or curved, so curve in, and then I want this to be very skinny at the end, and then it comes to the face. So very skinny at the end, and then thicker as it comes to the face. So it almost looks like a fangs, but it's actually the parts of the chewing mouth. Now we can add a few little lines inside here for the head. I just do a simple curve between its eyes, and I'm doing a C curve, and then this is a backward C curve here. I'm going to repeat this curve, and then I'm going to do two lines coming down. These are just some details in his head part. Now for the antennas, you can use your imagination, and they can be really curly. You can even do them in a spiral form. You can zigzag them. You can design this the way you want. I'm just going to do it up and over, almost like a rainbow arch. I'm going to end it and do it very thin. Now, this is when you come back, you want them to be equal distance apart, your line. and then go slow on the back side because you want it to be pretty thin. And then do the same on the other side now. If you want to have it tilt downward, whoops, I bumped my paper here, so mine was a little wobbly, but that's okay. I'm just going to, as I create it, I'm just going to fix it. I'm bumping into these things. There. So here's my second one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the thorax coming down. So we want to look at the, let me bring this paper up here so you can see better. We want to look at the center, very middle of our paper. So we want to find the middle. So if I go from the top of my page to the bottom, which is down here, I'm going to find my center. So I want you to find your center as well. Top, bottom, find your center. And from the center, here's my dead center mark right here. And from my center, what I want to do is I'm going to go off to the side a bit. So my dead center is here. So I'm going to go over about 2 fingers. And I'm going to put a mark. And I'm going to come from this triangle down. And right before I hit my finger, I'm going to stop. Right before I hit my fingers where I'm going to start a wing. So for the wing, I'm going to make a diagonal line here, and then we're going to finish this in a minute, the wing. This is actually part of his back. It's a wing that covers the abdomen, but this part here is actually the prothorax. This type of a praying mantis has several thoraxes. A lot of bugs just have the 3 parts, head, thorax, abdomen. This one has a head, a prothorax, and a mesothorax, and then the abdomen's at the end. So it has a different segment. We're going to come down with another line here connecting to this wing line. And then we're going to start in on our front legs. And the front legs are the forelegs, and they're called the walking appendages. So we're going to start that. I'm going to come down and back. And then our front legs are going to be in here. The front legs are very powerful. These are the ones that do all the grabbing. So I'm going to do a large letter V. So watch me first. I'm going to come down. And I'm going down about 3 fingers. And then I'm going to come back up. These are the forelegs. Now I'm going to jump up probably about a finger space and put a dot. See right here, it's above my finger. I use the side view of my finger. I'm going to connect this together. I'm going to make my other V here. And now I'm going to round this. Now I'm going to start the lower part of his leg. And the lower part of his leg has some of these walking hairs sticking out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, if you want to do a straight line down first, you can. And then the walking hairs are like these jagged back and forth. So you go out, back in, out, back in. And then the actual walking appendage down here has this curve or hook. So a big one, a big curve down and over, almost like a J curve. Then I'm coming back real thin, and then I'm going to do a skinny line up and connect. Okay, so it looks almost like a backwards L, or this is the J curve, and then it curves around for the backwards L. Now I'm going to come up and around and connect. This will be his like knee area. This is actually called, and they're placed here, it's called tibial spines. Right in here, which would be his tibial, and I have the word over here, the tibial spines are these spikes that come off. They're jagged like this. So I'm going to come up and back, up and back, up and back, like a zigzag line. Now I'm going to add the second set of front upper arms, and I'm just going to bring a line down here from the body to the bent elbow. And then this one goes behind, and we don't see a lot of it. We just see the other hand peeking out over here. So this is behind the front arm. So I'm going to come up and back almost like a capital letter A. Come down and curve, and this one's going to appear smaller. Up diagonally and curve it, and then we're going to add a few little spikes coming off right there. And there's the arm that's behind the first. So now what we've just made is the prothorax up at the top. We have some tibial spines here with some walking hairs down here. These walking hairs are in here. And we have our chewing mouth parts. Now we're going to work on the Meso Thorax in this area here. And we're just going to connect this down. And then I'm going to form the middle legs. So this is like it's almost like this leg, but it's going to be an L shape. So I'm going to come down straight and over. But if you notice, when I'm coming over, it's slightly diagonal. It's not horizontal, perfectly horizontal. So this does not form a right angle. It comes over. So down, over, and again, I'm going over bigger than 3 fingers. And now I'm going to go down again, straight. Okay, this is as big as my hand. The width of the fattest part of your hand. Their legs are pretty big. Now I'm going to repeat these angles. I'm going to give it a little bit of a thickness here because this will be a middle leg here. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to curve it slightly where it meets the angle here. So come down. So this will be thicker, and then the leg is going to slowly taper skinnier. So now I'm going to come across slowly. I'm going to end before I come here. I want to bring it in a little bit more though, because his legs are now tapering, and then the bottom leg is going to be much thinner. So pay attention to the thicknesses here. A lot of kids make these legs too fat. So now I'm going to come down and get a bit skinnier here. So we have about a finger's thickness here, and then we get a little bit skinnier, and then we're really skinny here. Okay, so it's tapering smaller. And then I'm going to come diagonally over and diagonally over for his foot. I'm going to stick some of those little tiny walking hairs in of his foot. And he does have some spines on the back here, so we can add some spines. So this would be the middle leg. Now the second middle leg, this is the side view of the praying mantis. So the second view is going to be slightly smaller. So my second leg comes out. I keep on hitting this, I'm just going to move it. And then we come down and end before you get here. Over and down. Now I'm going to go thin, over, down, skinny. And then it's just going to come over and connect. And then add some walking hairs. So that's his second leg. Now we're going to do the back leg. And our back leg, I'm going to come down here right before the elbow. If you look at this, or this curve here of his leg segment, I'm going to jump up a little bit. So I'm at the first where it bends, the first leg segment where it bends. So this would be a segment, this is a segment. I'm going to just add a curve, it's a diagonal down. Then I'm going to do a number 1, and I'm just going to connect the diagonal now. And then I'm going to go back. These back legs, they bend backwards. The front legs bend forward, so this is going to bend backwards. I'm going to give a jump over, probably a finger, a little bit bigger than a finger. And then I'm going to come in. Bring it in, skinnier. Then I'm going to come over. So this is fatter here. It's kind of like the upper thigh area of your leg is fatter. And then it gets skinnier. And now we're going to come back down straight. And these are all about at least 3 fingers wide. 3 fingers wide with your measurements. So they're similar lengths. And then this is going to come very skinny. And do your corner. And then the feet come back. These little walking appendages come back with some walking hairs. I can add a little bit of walking hairs here. Now the back leg, let's get the abdomen in, and then the wing part, and then we'll do the back leg. My wing part now, I'm going to come from this line all the way to the edge of my page. Just curve it down to the edge, and then I'm going to round it and bring it back. So it's a long, skinny piece. And you can add a line inside there too. Now his abdomen is going to come out, so a diagonal line down, and then back up to meet the leg. And in this area we have some, it's called a metathorax in this area. It's some kind of grooved design in his body. And then where it meets the abdomen area at the tip here. I always color this with some darker shades of green lines here. It's kind of a harder shell there. Now, we're going to do the back leg, which you don't see a lot of. We're just going to see a skinny stick coming down, a skinny stick coming down, and diagonally to the edge of the page. Add your walking hairs. And there we have our mantis, praying mantis. Now, all you have to do is connect the leg areas together to form a log. Oh, let me slide this up. Here's your walking hairs and leg. Now we're just going to connect these together to form our log. To connect, I'm going to take my foot, bring it to the edge of the page, and I'm just going to do this as a continuous line, but I'm not going to draw on top of the mantis leg. Continue a line, stop at the leg, continue, stop at the leg, and go behind. Now I'm going to draw the other side of the log or stick or whatever he's climbing on, a branch. And you can add some texture here, lines of texture. And then you can put the mantis in anything you want. So you could put him in, say, a jungle, put him on a flower or her on a flower. I did some of these just big giant jungle leaves, and then I did some big blades of grass at the bottom. And then I'm going to be painting in the background with some beautiful bright orange and red sunset colors so that there's a lot of contrast between my background and the bug, just so that as a piece of art we can see it better. Sometimes these praying mantises, they blend into their environment so you don't even see them. But I want to create a contrast so we can see it. As an artist, we want it to look aesthetically pleasing to us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add, and you can go ahead and do this too, add your own plants and flowers or whatever you want to put this in, a jungle background, and then we'll fill it in. You can add the details with Oil Pastel. I'll show you right now what I did. I just did some scales or some kind of pattern in his wings, and I pushed really hard with the Oil Pastels. And then I added just some line pattern. So if you work up just line pattern on your animal, or your insect rather, so work up just line pattern on the insect, then when you go to paint, whatever you're putting in with the oil pastels or the crayons is going to resist it. So your pattern will show. You can even work up your jungle leaves and stuff, go right to a crayon or an oil pastel. That way they don't have to have the outline. And if you push really hard, this creates a barrier. I'm just going to put some stripes in here. And then what I'll do is I'll end up just painting in these with green, And so whatever area I missed with my oil pastel, that will show with the paint. So I'm just putting in some big color lines here. And you can even use different colors too with your crayon or oil pastel, like this. And then when I add the green watercolor on top, wherever I've missed with my lines is going to fill in with the green watercolor. There. And then I'll add another blade of grass maybe here, exaggerating the size. And here's another color here, curving the different way. And so you have different values of color throughout. I can add some darker down here where it's shading. And then for my Praying Mantis, what I can do is use, you know, maybe some different patterns with the green here. And here is the view, what it looks like right before I'm going to add some watercolor paint to this. I worked up some lighter colors around the antennas, the eyes, and some legs. I put some yellow pattern in, little lines in here, just to give some variation of color on his body. And then I worked up some ovals on the wing area. You could do ovals, or here's this other example of like little U shapes or C shapes or circle shapes. But here I colored them in with some olive color. And then I added some texture to the log. And now I'm going to add some watercolor paints to this, and it will be done. And I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. And here are the two finished Praying Mantis pictures. I don't know which one I like better. I think I like the pink, then orange and yellow one with the sunset background, as opposed to the cooler background. I used purple and magentas and some pink at the bottom here. But it's up to you how you want to decorate yours, and I hope you enjoyed the lesson. And please leave a comment or a like if you like the video. And if you find something that can be improved, let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to take it into consideration. And I appreciate anybody who would like to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy your Praying Mantis.